Once you know you are a spiritual patriot, what are you supposed to do?
Well,
and
that's
keep it friendly. Keep it YouTube
Yeah.
friendly and Facebook friendly, please.
Well, I'll give you a good example. Our wonderful country called the United States of America. Sometimes we forget that it's a United States of America. George Washington comes to mind to me. What would be great to have a George Washington today, And George Washington, the leadership and the presidency fell into his lap. And did anyone really think that he woke up one day and said, I'm going to lead the revolt against the King of England? Now, they didn't really honestly think that he put that in his heart, that was his choice. Or later, when they were contemplating signing the Declaration of Independence, Jimmy, that they were thinking maybe they would be a monarch too. Who would have thought? He says, I'm not your person. Would you be our president, Mr. Washington? No, I'm not. But if all of you, without a shadow of a doubt, choose me to be so, then that I shall do. See, in order to be a spiritual patriot, we call politicians servants, right? They're supposed to be servants of the people. But a lot of times a politician yields to their own agenda or their own personal family's agenda as opposed to yielding to what's right for a greater good. Because when you really examine in the heart of a patriot, what is the greater good? Well, when you start to do the greater good and you become a servant, you just have the first opening of really what it's called to be a real servant leader or a real patriot, right? And so what has to happen is that your hidden agenda has to, when John the Baptist baptizes Jesus and he says, I must go down as he must rise up. That is what begins to happen. And the impact of it, he says, go follow him now. He's the master. Go follow him. And there's a transition that happens in us, that when this country was formed and Washington was the head of it, our first 13 people that signed that Declaration of Independence and developed our Constitution and were part of the original 13 colonies, it wasn't people who were trying to make their family fat cats. They were yielding to something greater and bigger and much larger than themselves, Deny yourself, take up your cross, and follow me. We should die daily to be born again and renew unto the Christ. So a patriot, a real patriot, understands that. They're driven by a force and an ideal that is much bigger and much greater. And the only way this is accomplished, they know, is their little self has to get out of the way. The ego has to be subdued or at least held in check, because the greater good that is going to support everybody starts. When that starts, then God enters that person, Jimmy, on a different level. He gives that person a different portion. He gives that person, it's exactly when Elijah is ascending into heaven And Elisha is down there with Elijah's following. And he calls up to Elijah. He says, Master, pour down to me a double. No, pour down to me a triple share of God's light and his rod of power. See, Elijah knew what God the Father's rod of power was, because for decades he was already walking in the light. He knew the power of the Sharat, and he knew that power of God was not equally dwelling in every man. Yeah, we're created in God's image. And yes, we have the chance to have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These are all true. But it's only true by the walking papers he gives you and your ability to carry that out. With that action, I want people to think is that with the action from here is that they are pulling more and more down through their crown chakra, the rod of power of God. And that person, get out of their way. Just one person like that can change a whole world. That's one of the most incredible messages of Master Rabbi Jesus, of Holy Jesus, is for him to say that one person did that. Oh my God, if one person could do that, and one person truly follows their mission in life and chooses good over evil all the time, because it always is a choice, and then they choose not of their own free will, but I'm going to choose Abba's will. Only Abba's will exist through me. Jimmy, that is a patriot. And Lord, help anybody that tries to stand between them and God the Father, because it is powerful. One person can change a city, can change a country. Heck, we've seen it. They can change the world.